Hello, my name is Caitlin Renault, and today I'm going to be reviewing Chapter 3 from Spring's text, American Education. This chapter is called Education and the Equality of Opportunity. In this presentation, we will cover the relationship between schooling and the concept of equal opportunity, various school models for achieving equality of opportunity, the relationship between income and educational achievement, discrimination in the job market, and schools that contribute to inequality of opportunity. Equality of opportunity means that all members of a society are given equal chances to pursue wealth and enter an occupation or social class. People tend to think this means equal incomes and status, but in reality, it doesn't. Each member of society is significantly different from another. Therefore, we are starting out in the right spot for Spring's theory to be relevant. Spring even describes life as a competitive race, with school being the starting point. Ideally, education would provide an equal opportunity for those that were considered unequal and couldn't afford the same opportunities as those that were privileged. Sadly, only white men were viewed as equal at the time these standards were put into place. Equality of opportunity is based on the idea of an unequal society where individuals compete with one another. The next three slides include models that Spring says are good attempts at providing equality of opportunity to students. The first is the Common School model, the second is the Sorting Machine model, and the third is the High-Stakes Testing model. The first model is the Common School model. In this model, everyone receives an equal and common education. Theoretically, children from all social backgrounds attend school where they receive an education that will prepare them to compete on an equal terms in the economic system. Upon graduation, all students have an equal chance to succeed. Therefore, competition for socioeconomic standing occurs outside of the schoolhouse. Although it can prove effective, this model still faces issues, including differences in family backgrounds. Children with parents who read to them and expose them to a variety of cultural events are often better prepared to learn, whereas children whose parents are illiterate. Everyday issues plague this model, such as whether a child's family can afford to feed them or not, whereas a wealthy family wouldn't have this type of concern. The second model is the sorting machine model. In this instance, the school attempts to overcome the influence of family background. The equality of opportunity is found here because of impartial decisions of teachers, counselors, and standardized tests. In this model, students from all backgrounds are placed in ability groups and tracks that will lead them to jobs based on their ability. This model differs from the Common School model in the fact that social positions take place within the school. Students receive unequal and different educations. The third model is the high-stakes model. In this model, a high-stakes test or achievement exam determines a person's future academic career and job opportunities. These tests will determine what a person has learned. This model begins in elementary school, where promotion is decided on these tests. Then, as the student progresses in age or grade, the test determines graduation. This model gives everyone a fair shake, if you will, an equal chance to learn and to take the same test to determine their knowledge. If a society is to center around a high-stakes testing model, then the school becomes a large part of determining economic success. The school must then in turn give everyone an equal chance to learn. But it is possible. The Common School model, the sorting machine model, and the high-stakes testing model all can overlap at times and operate simultaneously. Three major factors play into the model of equality: the Common School model, the sorting machine model, and the high-stakes testing model. They do in fact overlap at times and operate simultaneously. It is assumed that all these models can provide equal opportunity. Spring briefly discusses each one in this chapter. I know for a fact that the school I work at uses all three of these models at different times. They each use a certain aspect to afford students a better chance at equal opportunities. The next thing that Spring discusses is the correlation between money and education. The three educational models show a correlation of income and money in education, and we all know that the amount of income can determine your schooling. Spring's findings not only show that money has a large impact on the amount of schooling a student can achieve, but it also shows a direct correlation with gender. He then breaks down his findings based on race, dropout rates, tracking and ability grouping, and social classes, including at-risk students. The differences in incomes among these different groups can be within dollar amounts of tens of thousands of dollars, just based on the color of skin or a certain at-risk situation one might be in. Spring ends this chapter by going back and placing some credit where credit is due. Are the schools in fact to blame for maintaining differences between social classes through economic segregation? This is called social reproduction. Social reproduction basically means the schools are producing the social class structure of society. Three major factors play into the model of equality: the common school model, the sorting machine model, and the high stakes testing model. They do in fact overlap at times and operate simultaneously. It is assumed that all these models can provide equal opportunity. Spring briefly discusses each one in this chapter. I know for a fact that the school I work at uses all three of these models at different times. They each use a certain aspect to afford students a better chance at equal opportunities. Does the school do this sort of underground ability type grouping where students are placed in a certain social corner by their self-presentation, gender, race, or age, or other factors, so the school can find success in that area? Spring then calls on the expertise of economists Samuel Bowles and Herbert Guinness, who believe that child-rearing situations affect this grouping performed by the school and in the ways that schools treat certain children. Sadly, with this attitude towards education, children are passed over just as recipients of knowledge and aren't challenged to achieve more than what they are, quote unquote, cut out for. As much as I want to believe that everyone is afforded the same chances in life and in school, I somehow don't feel that way. I agree with Spring that money has quite an impact on our school lives. Certain materials can't be bought to assist certain learning groups, leaving them on the launch pad while others soar. As an educator, I want all of my students to achieve to their utmost ability. Sadly, I don't think they always will. I like that Spring included this chapter because it really relates to my school right now. Our school system has been throwing around the idea of standardized dress code. Our administrators boast that this equal dress code will not only alleviate bullying, but will also put students on an equal playing field when it comes to opportunity. I never thought that we would have to try and implement something like a dress code to help our students perform to the best of their ability. But there is something we have to remember, and Spring said it: equal opportunity doesn't always mean equal pay or status. I really enjoy Spring's thoughts on education. A lot of books with similar topics I have read do not really make valid points. Spring not only puts the information out there, but also leaves enough of the chapter open-ended that I can think deeper about how it applies to my school and classroom. Thank you so much for your time, and again, my name is Caitlin Renault, and this has been a review of Chapter 3 in Spring's text, American Education, Education and the Equality of Opportunity. I want to read the conclusion part of Chapter 3 of Spring's text because I feel like the open-ended questions are things that we can ask ourselves as educators and as students. Can schools provide equality of opportunity, or does equality of opportunity depend on economic circumstances outside the power of the school? Does the school reduce social differences or heighten them through ability grouping, tracking, teacher expectations, counseling, and inequalities in school financing? Will the equalizing of school finances ensure an equal education for children from all social classes? These questions reflect the major problems confronting a public school system that professes equal education opportunities and tries to provide an education that will guarantee equality of opportunity. I think we all strive as educators to be equal with all of our students. Unfortunately, that's not always the case, whether administration is involved, counselors are involved, or just your own personal teaching style. As hard as we strive to keep that equality there, sometimes we have a harder time incorporating it than we would like.